Hey guys, alright, I'm gonna try video blogging because I've been very unhappy with my writing as of late, and whatever, so here it goes. There's a very, very important concept that I want to just touch on briefly about safety versus liberty, right? Like, we're all living through this pretty ridiculous period of decline in America, of at least for the respect of liberty and the freedoms that we have as citizens. You know, it's kind of crazy because you don't have to look back that far. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, if you told someone what America would be like today with the Patriot Act and the warrantless spying and the we suspect you of a terrorist, you're going to get locked up for life, no trial, enjoy that, like, people would be like, that's impossible, you know. Anyway, it's here. And a lot of really decent and pretty intelligent, good people at all these various different incremental stages of loss of liberty will be like, well, it's to keep us safe and things like that. And I don't even want to like talk about the really atrocious things and the horrible things and the serious, really serious, or really obviously serious loss of liberty that's come with the Homeland Security and all that stuff. I want to focus on what seems like a less mundane issue, but which I hope will demonstrate that any loss of liberty is always really serious, right? The concept is what matters. The principle is what matters, right? So recently I've been doing some work and coming across these stories about what are farms that sell directly to consumers, right? It's not a very complicated concept. It's just, hey, I'm a farmer, I'm on my farm, I grow some food, someone walks up, oh, I like your vegetables, can I buy them? Sure, that's what that means, direct farm to consumer, or farm to consumer, whatever. Anyway, so there's been a lot of like aggression against these farms from government regulators and like really crazy stuff. I mean, in addition to having to pay thousands of dollars of fines and all, or fees for licenses and sometimes fines as well, you know, if they're not up to these arbitrary codes, the regulators will like come there and like bleach the food and shut them down, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's such a prevalent problem that there's this group called the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund that exists to help these farmers, right? So like, there isn't like a murderer legal defense fund or a robber legal defense fund, right? Or a thief legal defense fund, because all those actions are criminal. Like, no one's out going to go advocate for the thief or the murderer, right? But clearly being a farmer and just selling to people isn't a crime, and they're harassed so much as it is. There's literally organizations that have been created just to help them fend off the government, which is revealing, right? The government theoretically, at least here in America, is supposed to protect us, serve us, but here we see free people actually are coming together to create these legal defense funds to prevent other free people, farmers, against the aggression of their own government. But anyway, so I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way to explain this to people who like totally disagree with me and are like, Rob, you know, they're just trying to keep you safe and things like that, right? So now imagine we're like hovering above the earth, like looking at the interactions of these people, right? So guy gets off work, gets paid, he's got $200 in his pocket, walking home, walking past some farm, and you know, he sees like a big display of fruit and vegetables and walks up. He's like, hey, I would love to purchase this. The farmer's like, here you go, here's some apples or whatever's grown on a farm. Okay, obviously I'm not very rural, but you know, farm products are sold. And then all of a sudden, you know, the government comes in like, wow, this is illegal, you don't have the paperwork, things of that. Like, to a libertarian, like, that's the more significant violation and crime and process to which should be avoided than, you know, the regulator mind of saying, well, it might not be safe. There's no such thing as safety. That's the nature of human action. Like, you cannot be perfectly safe, right? I mean, a lot of people talk about, hey, you should emphasize how these food regulations don't even keep you safe. Like, there's tons of meat products that get recalled even though they were USDA inspected, and the quality of the inspections aren't so good anyway. I don't care about that. Like, that is true, but it's more important to emphasize there is no such thing as safety, right? There is something called liberty, though. You can be allowed to say, I'm going to buy your product, okay, I'm going to sell it to you, and not have someone forcibly stop that. That is an absolute quality that can be attained and should be valued. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, is to libertarian, that's the injustice there, is that those free people are not allowed to act voluntarily and freely with one another. That is what political theory, that is what government, if it must exist, should be striving to prevent injustice against, or more accurately, to protect. That's the institution. That's the ultimate goal, the preservation of liberty, not safety. All these other things are great, and there are many steps you can take to try and increase your relative safety and increase all other attributes. But the ultimate end is liberty. To the libertarian, if he looks down and now there's a guy in a bubble and everything is heavily inspected and regulated around him, I mean, he can't really ever leave these bubbles. He can't engage with people without the right paperwork and things like that. Someone else may be like, oh, this person's relatively safe. Things are, and every time something goes wrong, they excuse it away. Like, oh, we just need better regulators and stuff. But at least he's safe. Libertarian, like, that's hell. Like, that's abhorrent. Like, you've destroyed the essence of humanity. There's no freedom. There's no choice to make decisions you think are wrong or irresponsible and so forth. And to emphasize this a little bit further, like, because again, I can hear the response, right? Like, oh, people are too dumb, they're going to get sick and things like that. Well, I mean, there's ways to deal with these on the free market. But again, there's no perfect solution. So if you're saying liberty should suffer and must suffer as long in anything to pursue safety, are you in favor of, forcing people to wear shin pads and helmets every time they leave their home and walk? There are many instances of people running and slipping and hurting their knee. And if you ever fall on the sidewalk, it really, really hurts to scrape your knee. Like, you can wear shin pads. I mean, you're still free to walk around. You just have to wear the shin pads. They're not impeding your ability to walk. Just wear the shin pads. It's for your own safety. What about flossing, okay? You know how important dental hygiene is? It's extremely important. Flossing doesn't take long, does a great job. Should the government force everyone to floss? I mean, it's improving their quality of life and so forth. So, like, the point I'm trying to emphasize is these notions sound ridiculous, right? But if you are in favor of denying someone the right to go up to a farmer, or to go up to anyone and be like, I want to buy what you sell, and the guy's like, okay, I want to sell what you want to buy. No, that can't be done. You have to prevent it in the name of safety. What's to prevent these other ridiculous measures? Like, that's the real crime there, is the loss of liberty. And I guess I don't know how people don't see that.